I'm Tracy Sabol. Tonight on EWTN News Nightly, fight for the unborn. With just days left in office, President Joe Biden attempts to change the U.S. Constitution. Why ratifying the Equal Rights Amendment could upend pro-life and gender laws across the country. Fade to black? The Supreme Court issues its ruling on the future of social media platform TikTok. Plus, a pet project. A closer look at a unique blessing today in St. Peter's Square. These stories and more tonight.
From EWTN, the Global Catholic Network, this is EWTN News Nightly.
Thank you for being with us on the Feast of St. Anthony the Abbot. Our top story tonight, with just a few days left in office and 1 week away from the March for Life, President Joe Biden issues a stunning statement that the 28th Amendment is the law of the land. He was referring to the ERA, or the Equal Rights Amendment, which the Catholic Church opposes, saying that it would strike down pro-life laws, promote public funding of abortion, and negatively impact religious freedom. White House correspondent Owen Jensen reports.
Tracy, the president's statement also said he agrees that the Equal Rights Amendment has become part of our Constitution, but there's strong opposition to it.
President Joe Biden heading towards Marine One today. As his administration comes to an end, he drops a surprising announcement that the Equal Rights Amendment, which dates back to the 1970s, should be considered a ratified addition to the U.S. Constitution, writing, "I affirm what I believe and what 3/4 of the states have ratified. The 28th Amendment is the law of the land, guaranteeing all Americans equal rights and protections under the law, regardless of their sex." A reporter shouted a question about it when Biden walked out of St. John's Episcopal Church near the White House, where he made an unscheduled stop.
Why didn't you act earlier on the ERA?
Because I had to get all the facts, and I contacted about every constitutional scholar in the world to make sure I'm making the right decision.
But the symbolic declaration unlikely to have any impact. Carrie Gress from the Ethics and Public Policy Center tells us,
I don't think it's going to have a huge impact long term. I think it really does feel dead on arrival at this point. So for him to push this on, one of the last days in which he's in office really speaks to something, disingenuous.
The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops warned before the proposed Equal Rights Amendment, however, would likely create a sweeping new nationwide right to abortion at any stage, at taxpayer expense, and eliminate even modest protections for women's health and the lives of preborn children.
People are waking up to the fact that feminism has not been good for women. Abortion has not been good for women. It certainly hasn't been good for children.
The National Archives is responsible for certifying and publishing new amendments. It wasn't until the year 2020, when Virginia lawmakers passed the amendment, that 38 states had ratified it. The National Archives says nothing has changed to allow for certification.
The National Archives had previously said that the amendment cannot be certified because it wasn't ratified before a deadline set by Congress. At the White House, Owen Jensen, EWTN News Nightly.
And joining us now in the studio to talk about this is the Attorney General of the state of Mississippi, Lynn Fitch. Attorney General, great to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Well, a lot to chat about, but first, I want to get your thoughts and your reaction to President Biden's statement.
Well, that claim he made today, certainly judicial, administrative, legal, there's no precedent. So this is barred from happening. So as the National Archives has said, there is no claim, there's no opportunity. And we just see this as continuing to pander to the radical, far-reaching left agenda.
Yeah, and as we heard from Carrie Gress, she said in that package there, this is dead on arrival. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And it would be so detrimental.
Yeah. And this, of course, comes a week before the March for Life. And about 2.5 years after the Dobbs decision. Personally, what does this mean to you, this statement that he made, and the timing of it?
Well, it's unfortunate that he did that, but I think for all of us, we have to focus on, hey, look where we are. The Mississippi Dobbs case decision has come down. We've all made such great strides across our country and all of our respective states to uplift and empower women and their children. So I think that's where our real focus has to be.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that and what you're doing in the state of Mississippi. I mean, you have been such a champion for life. Tell us about your initiative, if I can get the words out.
Well, after the Dobbs decision, which again was an amazing opportunity to empower women and to promote life, we also then had the action. Now it was time for us to all step up. What will we do? How do we make a difference? How do we lift up these women in need? How would we help those children? And so we called it the Empowerment Project. So we immediately went to work with the Empowerment Project. We felt like this is an initiative, again, to reach out, to see what their needs are, provide resources, tools, and we basically operate on 5 pillars. One, that there's an opportunity to have childcare. We need affordable, accessible childcare across our country. We need to look at flexible work schedules for mothers. We need to streamline child support enforcement. We certainly need to look at resources for our young mothers, uplifting, upskilling, how could they have new opportunities? And then one that's so near and dear to everyone is how do we change the dynamics and fix the broken adoption and foster care system?
Absolutely. And sadly, also, we know that many women, unfortunately, choose to abort their unborn babies because maybe they feel like they don't have the resources to take care of them, they don't have the money. What are you doing to help those that are in a crisis pregnancy situation?
Well, we took several pieces of legislation to our legislature, and they were wonderful, amazing. In the first year, they passed 10 pieces of legislation from our Empowerment Project there to help women on so many different levels. Certainly there were tax credits for child care, for the adoption system, for our pregnancy resource centers. We got Medicaid to go for a full year for postpartum for these mothers. We enacted the Foster Parents Bill of Rights. Safe haven baby boxes. That was a great one. We just had our first baby in December. So we know we're providing a lot of opportunities for these women. We had so many things that were streamlined or put into place to help with the adoption and the foster care system. So looking for any way that we can lift them up. But one of my favorite is the Mama program.
Yeah, tell us about that.
It's just so appropriate because, as you said, what we're going to do really to uplift and change the direction for these young mothers or mothers to be that were in a crisis mode or don't have that safety support net. What could they do and how could they future their journey? So we created the Mama program. So mama.ms.gov, Mississippi access to maternal assistance. So an app on your phone, on the website. It's only been in place October of 2023. We've had 56,000 hits. Wow. So we know we're helping these mothers. We know we're helping the families. If you have stronger mothers and their success rate, that brings the families together. But so what we decided is we put all the public agencies and resources together on this website, all the private resources and agencies, and the faith-based. So this is the first time we had everyone come together. And so you can go on that website by geographic location, click on, we try to make it 3 clicks or less. You can find jobs, assistance, you might need diapers, you might need a car seat. It could be that you're interested in the adoption system. It could be that you just have some bills that you need to pay, housing. So we know we're helping and making a difference, and I'm hoping all states will use this as a model and take it forward.
Yeah, and really promoting families.
As we bring them together, this gives them the opportunity. So it's so nice to talk to these mothers, to be a part of their new journey, their opportunities that they might not have had before. We've got over 400 different resources on the website, and we're always adding.
Well, thank you so much for being here today and sharing all this with us. We really appreciate it. God bless.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity to be here and to discuss the Mississippi Dobbs case and the Empowerment Project. What an incredible opportunity for our women and our children, and I'm so grateful for people that prayed all across the country for the decision.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. On the popular social media app TikTok is now within days of possibly being unavailable in the U.S. The Supreme Court ruled today a ban on TikTok can take effect on Sunday. The Biden administration says that it does not plan to enforce the ban and will leave that up to President-elect Donald Trump, who will be inaugurated on Monday. Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales joins us now with the latest.
Well, good evening, Tracy. We know that TikTok is widely popular with over 170 million users in the country, making the United States the second most popular country for TikTok, behind only Indonesia. You may recall Congress voted to ban it last April unless the China-based owners ByteDance sold it. Lawmakers say it's an app that is a grave national security concern.
I think that's the right ruling on the law. I think it's the right ruling. Oh, I don't care, just anybody, just not China, just not somebody subject to the Chinese government. So I think somebody would buy it if China would sell it. That's the problem. They're preventing its sale.
I think an extension is appropriate and likely so that TikTok can be sold. We want it to exist, but not under Chinese control and ownership, so that the Chinese are able to exploit the collection of information.
The justices rejected an appeal from TikTok's owners, claiming the controversial ban violates the First Amendment. Congress has already banned it from all U.S. government-issued devices.
It's kind of ironic that China does not allow an American social media platform that they can't censor or take control over in their country, but yet we allow the CCP to come in here and buy up farmland, buy up land around our military installations.
Ever since this ban was first talked about, TikTok supporters have made the trek to D.C., claiming the app provides them an economic livelihood.
Got on TikTok, easily went from 0 to like 3 million followers within a couple of months. That has also helped me grow my business. I literally went from sleeping in my truck to living in a penthouse to owning like a 7-figure business.
I've seen this app raise over $1 million for the American Heart Association after I went through open heart surgery in May of 2020 during the pandemic when my wife wasn't even allowed to be by my side. This app showed up for her to support her when she couldn't be by my side.
Shortly after the decision, the Biden administration issued a statement saying in part, quote, TikTok should remain available to Americans, but simply under American ownership or other ownership that addresses the national security concerns identified by Congress. TikTok has argued divestment is not a feasible option and that it will go dark as of Sunday when the ban takes effect. President-elect Donald Trump is reportedly considering signing an executive order to circumvent the ban. It's worth noting that TikTok CEO has been given prime seating at Donald Trump's inauguration on Monday. At the Capitol, Eric Rosales, EWTN News Nightly.
All right, now to the war in the Middle East, where Israel's full cabinet is considering a ceasefire and hostage deal with Hamas. Earlier today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with his security cabinet. They signed off on the agreement that would pause the fighting and release dozens of hostages held by Hamas militants, along with Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. If it is approved, the deal could start as soon as Sunday. All right, now I want to bring in Gaith Alamari. He is a senior fellow at the Washington Institute, and he served as advisor to the negotiating team during the 1999-2001 permanent status talks, in addition to holding various other positions within the Palestinian Authority. Gaith, great to be with you today. Tell us first, how confident are you that this deal, the entire deal, with all the phases, will be completed?
All right, thank you very much, Tracy. Look, I'm very confident that phase 1 will be implemented. I am very skeptical that phases 2 and 3 will be implemented. We see this a lot in foreign policy and negotiations. The sides were in a rush to agree on the areas that they found agreement on, and they basically postponed all the difficult issues to phase 2 and 3. So this is really when the very hard negotiations are going to start.
And Gaith, the Prime Minister told his security cabinet that he received guarantees of U.S. support if negotiations with Hamas broke down in phase 2 and Israel goes back to war. Do you think that would be something that President-elect Trump would agree to?
I mean, this is an accurate depiction of what's in the deal. However, every indication from President Trump is that he does not want to deal with another war in the Middle East. Yes, they want Hamas destroyed, but at the same time, he does not want to be distracted with another war in the Middle East. And so I think that Prime Minister Netanyahu will come under a lot of pressure from President Trump to basically not resume the war. But it depends on what Hamas does, obviously, and how Hamas sticks to the deal as well.
Yeah, and, you know, Gaith, we know the far right in Israel opposes this deal. So how does Netanyahu keep his coalition government together, and what do you think will happen?
And most likely, he has two far-right factions in his coalition. One is going to bolt, one is going to stay. He has the numbers to pass the deal and for the coalition to survive in the coming months. But however, many in Israel are thinking that this is the beginning of the end of the Netanyahu government. We're seeing defections from his own Likud party. It's going to be politically very hard, but still it's going to be politically easier than confronting President Trump and starting his relation with President Trump on a bad footing. So he had to make this calculation.
Gaith, what do you think? I mean, after all that's said and done, what do you think will happen to Gaza, and who will govern it?
So this is the biggest question, and today we have no answer. If things continue the way they are continuing right now, I am sad to say that Hamas will be able to reconstitute itself and in a couple of years regovern Gaza. We have to create an alternative. The only alternative is the Palestinian Authority. Bad as it is, corrupt as it is, it needs to be reformed. Yet we need a Palestinian address, and unless the Israelis agree to this, then the Israelis might find themselves stuck in one of two bad situations. Either Hamas re-emerges or Israel has to reoccupy Gaza. If the Palestinian Authority is a reformed Palestinian Authority, Authority is brought back in. On the other hand, there's a real possibility that the Arab countries will come in with money and capabilities and be part of rebuilding and regoverning Gaza.
Yeah, and I'm going to pick up on that, Gaith. How do you think this deal, if all the phases go through, if everything goes through as planned, how do you think this will reshape the Middle East?
Look, the war has already reshaped the Middle East. Iran, which a year and a half ago was a major regional power, today it's on the retreat. In Syria, in Lebanon, we're seeing it in Iraq, etc. Now, if we can do real reconstruction in Gaza and we can rebuild Palestinian-Israeli relations, this has the possibility of also unlocking the biggest potential progress in the Middle East, which is peace between Israel and Saudi Arabia. The Saudis want this peace, want to rebuild relations with the Israelis. However, they say they cannot do that unless there is progress on Gaza and on the Palestinian front. So there's a lot of potential, and I believe that President Trump and his team will be working very, very hard on that particular opportunity.
Okay, as always, thank you so much for your insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our leaders from Iran and Russia sign a new agreement deepening their ties amid Western sanctions. Russian President Vladimir Putin says the deal is a breakthrough for the development of both countries. They hope to cooperate on areas like trade, the military, and science. The Kremlin and Tehran also are working on a plan to ship Russian natural gas to Iran. And we have a lot more still to come here on EWTN News Nightly. It is still a few days off, but the inauguration is already setting records. What's unique about this year and how security is working to keep everyone safe. And St. Peter's Square turns into the Ark, why all these animals were brought to the Vatican. Anticipated inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump will look a little different than expected due to forecasts of intensely cold weather. Trump and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance will take the oath of office inside the Capitol Rotunda. We spoke with a security expert on what may have gone into this decision.
This is a record year for inauguration. I think it's the coldest one in 40 years. So that could play a part in this, but also a potential threat could have been identified by the Secret Service, by the FBI, by any of the other agencies who are supporting this. So they may have had to make these changes quickly on the fly in order to add that extra layer of security.
A president like Trump will become the first president since Ronald Reagan took the oath of office indoors back in 1985. Security remains a concern despite the late change. Adam Gonzalez weighed in on how the Secret Service prepares for and assesses specific threats at an inauguration.
So, these are things that they are planning for. They've ran through all these scenarios, 1,000 other scenarios multiple times for the past 4 years, speculating on what these are going to be, planning, training to really control and mitigate all threats and risks towards this event and venue.
Trump says that he is glad the ceremony will be moving indoors to keep everyone safe, and other arrangements will be made for the thousands expected to attend the event. Well, in addition to inauguration security, President-elect Trump's pick for Homeland Security Chief, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, warned of the growing domestic threats the nation faces during her confirmation hearing today.
Homegrown terrorism is growing. We have more and more incidences. The tragedy we saw and the terrorist attack in New Orleans.
What will you do to combat it? What will you do to stop ISIS and other extremist organizations from radicalizing people in this country?
Well, certainly, Senator, I'll continue to work with the administration and our partners and the Department of Defense, the intelligence agencies, also within Secretary of State and the other branches and cabinet officials to make sure we're bringing all resources to bear to identify and to stop these types of terrorist activities.
The two-term governor and former U.S. Congresswoman also asserted that the U.S. Secret Service is in serious need of reform following the assassination attempts on President-elect Trump. Up next on EWTN News Nightly, a new study brings good news to religious Americans, a growing trend that brings hope to all of us. Plus, The Archbishop of St. Peter's hosts dozens of animals while farmers brought him their livestock. That over the past year, support for religious liberty among Americans has grown. The findings are from the Beckett Fund for Religious Liberty. It found that the Religious Freedom Index is now at 70 out of a possible 100, the highest score ever recorded. The survey polls Americans on a variety of religious liberty issues. The highest support came in the category of religious pluralism. It was 86 out of 100. The subset measures the ability to live out one's faith, religious sharing, or the ability to share beliefs with others scored a 72. Well, finally tonight, each year on January 17th, the feast of St. Anthony the Abbot, the square outside of St. Peter's Basilica turns into a farm for more than a decade. Italian farmers have brought their animals for a special blessing. Catholic News Agency journalist Christina Millar has more.
Good evening, Tracy. It is the feast day of St. Anthony the Abbot, the patron saint of farmers and animals, which would explain the unusual sight outside of St. Peter's Square this morning. All creatures great and small from far and wide gathered together. Several Italian farmers brought cattle, horses, goats, chickens, and even rabbits to the Vatican to be blessed by Cardinal Mauro Gambetti, the Archpriest of St. Peter's Basilica. After Mass inside the Basilica, the Cardinal met with livestock breeders and thanked them for answering God's call to care for creation.
If God cares for the sparrows, for the chicks, if God cares so much that not even one of them falls without his will, how much more does he care for humanity? He takes care of his creatures, so know this: God cares for each of you, especially you who have responded to his original call to cultivate and care for his creation.
The Cardinal prayed that their work on the land, a service for their country and the world, will also create a harmonious balance between humanity and the environment, so that life may flourish for everyone. This is an annual event for some of the participants. One horse breeder shared with me this morning that his dream is of passing his work and passion to his own daughter. She is only 2, but I'm told she is already showing a keen interest in the family's farm. Though today's festivities were dedicated to Italy's farmers, it didn't stop hundreds of people and pilgrims passing through the Vatican today from also taking part in the celebrations. In the makeshift open-air stable just outside the Vatican, some took photos of the animals, while others paused to watch the parade of horses and riders led by the state police. Many Italian farmers participating in this year's event have also come to Rome as Jubilee of Hope pilgrims by proclaiming Pope Francis's message in Laudato Si to live sustainably and respect all of God's creations. In Rome, Christina Miliare, EWTN News Nightly.
And we thank you for watching tonight. Remember, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, X, and Instagram at EWTN News Nightly. I'm Tracy Sabol, and we leave you tonight with more of the live animals at the Vatican for the Feast of St. Anthony the Abbot. Good night, and God bless.